So today we will start with a question I get asked increasingly often, and that is, hey, I want to break into UX writing. How can I best do that? Can I do that with my background? Where do I even start, etc.? So this is what we're going to talk about today. Hello everyone, my name is Kat and I teach people about writing in tech. And on this channel you'll find everything you need to know about especially UX writing, but also about copywriting, technical writing and content writing. So if you want to learn more about all of that, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell. Now, UX writing is a discipline that is gaining increasing popularity. The hype has been going on for a couple of years, and this is true for companies who want to hire UX writers to complete their UX teams. And this is also true for individuals who just see that the job profile of a UX writer is interesting and rewarding. Because after all, when we take a look at the numbers, we see that UX writers are pretty high in demand and pretty well paid. And this is exactly why UX writing is a discipline that is home to many career changers, which completely makes sense. Because the discipline itself is super young and there is no university program, no blueprint for this profession, at least not yet. So people who want to enter the field of UX writing kind of have to figure it out themselves, how to do it, meaning how to break into the field and how to build a successful career in it. Because what you don't want to do is leave your old career path to be miserable in a new one, right? So switching careers and entering the field of UX writing is a leap of faith. And of course, we want to do everything within our control to reduce our risk of failure and increase our chance of being successful in our new career. So what can we do to achieve exactly that? How can you break into the field? Let's break this down a little. Now, my very first piece of advice is don't just apply for a UX writing job because you think you are a good writer. And that also applies to you if you are a copywriter, for example, or a content writer. If you're skilled and experienced in one of these disciplines, that means little to nothing for how good of a UX writer you are. UX writing definitely has its own quality criteria, its own workflows, tools, research methods, etc. So if you don't have formal knowledge about all of that, you will most likely not be able to answer essential questions in your job interviews and therefore not succeed. So definitely don't do that. Instead, what I recommend is start by managing your expectations of the job. So see if you have a real good understanding of what UX writing actually is. In my job as a UX writing instructor, I see a lot of people not really getting or accepting what UX writing is. Some say UX writing is basically copywriting for digital products. Others think that UX writing is all about being funny and writing things like, oops, something went wrong, seems like our office dog ate this page, So don't be like that, okay? Don't be like that. But instead, make sure you understand what UX writing really is all about, okay? And whatever you do at this stage of dipping a toe in UX writing, don't rely on blog articles only, okay? Keep in mind, there are some oversimplifying, even wrong articles on platforms like Medium, and there are amazing, solid, great, knowledgeable articles on Medium. And as someone who has little to no knowledge about UX writing, you won't be able to tell the one from the other. For example, I just recently came across a Medium blog post that was written by a marketing expert, and in his article, the author tells his readers to use patterns like fear of missing out in their UX writing to pressure users into buying something. Well, that perspective is definitely not a UX writing perspective, but obviously the author looks at copy from a marketing perspective, which is totally fine, but he uses the term UX writing as a buzzword to make his article more clickable, probably. So what I recommend is learning the basics of UX writing with the help of a course, and then adding to that knowledge with the help of books, blog posts, podcasts, challenges, whatever. And you really don't have to take my courses, okay? Even though they're pretty good and cheap and easy to access. But there are basically a lot of good online courses about UX writing out there, okay? But whatever you do, make sure it's a course taught by experts on a reliable platform, okay? It's not so much about the certificate, it's about learning the basics, okay? So what you first want to do is learn about what UX writing actually is and make sure that you have an accurate understanding of what this discipline is all about and what skills you need in order to succeed in it. The second thing I want you to do is look at your current background and job and connect the dots. If you know what UX writing is all about and which skills you need to be a good UX writer, see where you already have experience with tasks that you will also do as a UX writer or which are similar to what you will do as a UX writer. See which skills you already have that are relevant and take a moment to establish your very own storytelling. For example, let's say you are an English teacher. Then your story could be, hey, I know much about language and the meaning of language and the impact of language. And I also know a lot about explaining difficult things in a simple way. And you know what? I'm also good at communicating in an engaging way and adjusting my communication style to my target audience because that's what I had to do for my students in school. Now, this is obviously just one example of how you can connect the dots between your current career and a career in UX writing. But I know that UX writers basically come from all kinds of backgrounds. So if you want to, let me know about your background in the comments. And you can also share your storytelling if you like. I'd actually really love to read about that. Anyway, why you want to do that is not to make hiring managers happy, okay? Not to give your friends or family a good explanation about your career change, but to make all of this feel logical and congruent to your very self. This will motivate you, and seeing that switching to UX writing does not mean throwing away your old career, but instead continuing your career in an innovative and future-proof way may help you to stick to your plan. So establishing your own storytelling is basically super important. And when you did that, it's time to learn about the practice of UX writing, because at this point, practicing UX writing will best bring you the additional knowledge and experience to actually build competence in UX writing and to see where you need to learn more. Now, I personally think you should definitely not start practicing UX writing before you know about the basics of UX writing and what good UX writing actually is. Because if you don't know that, you will only practice writing UX copy the wrong way. So to get to this point, make sure you really took an introductory course or read an introductory book about UX writing, okay? And then to start practicing, consider taking some existing UX copy that needs improvement and rewrite it. You can pick an app or website that could use some polishing, conduct some research about their brand and target audience, and then work on making their copy better. As I said, just remember to use the formal UX writing criteria you've learned about instead of trying to, be fancy or instead of just using words you think sound cool, okay? And another great way to practice UX writing is by participating in a UX writing challenge. And UX writing challenges are these kinds of programs that give you daily or weekly prompts asking you to write a specific piece of copy in a fictional scenario. And then in most cases, you can share your work in a Facebook group or somewhere else and get feedback on how you did. And when you use these challenges or fictional projects to train your UX writing skills, of course, please be aware that this is not a representation of how being a UX writer on a team works, okay? But it still allows you to sharpen the writing skills and to establish your own writing process and routine. So it's definitely something that will be helpful to you. And speaking of Facebook groups, the next thing you can do at this stage of your development is make sure you engage with the community. So maybe find a mentor or senior UX writer to review your writing and give you advice, but also make sure you go to all the places where UX writers are. And this includes local meetups, but also Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, even Slack channels, okay? You can follow UX writers on Instagram, and to do that, simply search for these groups and influencers on your favorite platform and see what's most interesting and appealing for you, okay? Who you can bond with and which places provide you with valuable and pleasant content. This will definitely help you to stay in touch with the community and the whole topic and environment of UX writing, and also it may help you to establish connections with others and discuss your questions, your ideas, and your experiences. And when you've entered the community and you've found your favorite places, you can slowly start to go further down the rabbit hole of UX writing and content design and information architecture and language and so on, and start to learn even more about the field and also learn more about specific things in UX writing. So for example, you could take courses about niche topics that you are curious about, like cultural responsive UX writing or inclusive UX writing or UX writing for older users or UX writing and localization and so on and so forth, okay? So now you can go to Medium or to Google and research specifically for that niche topic and then sharpen and diversify your knowledge. Maybe even work towards a certain niche where you can build deep knowledge and become a specific expert, okay? And this is also the time where you should have learned enough about UX writing to tell good advice from bad advice and to see which sources and authors you can rely on. And when you did that and you feel like you're on solid ground with your UX writing knowledge and skills, you could really think about starting to actually work on a real project. Because now you already have a lot of relevant knowledge. You also have experience with writing. Now's the time to gain some real life project experience, okay? Because no matter if you plan to work as a freelancer or as an employed UX writer, companies and clients will probably expect you to already know at least a little bit of how to work within a team and write UX copy in a project context. So know how to collaborate with developers and designers, know how to document UX copy properly, and so on. And to be very honest with you, yes, landing your first real project can be hard. It can mean that you apply for a junior position. It can mean that you start an internship. It can also mean that you do pro bono work or support a designer friend with their project, or even work for free for a non-profit organization. And even that can be hard to find. So to be honest, this is not the easiest step of the journey. And I hope you don't let any rejection get you down, because it is worth fighting for your first real project, okay? Especially because this is what you should put in your portfolio. Because after all, UX writing challenges and fictional cases will not demonstrate your ability to be a good UX writer in a collaborative setting, okay? So you want that real life project experience. And once you got your hand on one of those projects, this is where you can actually start. From here on, you can apply for jobs, for freelance gigs, whatever. Just get past this one first milestone, okay? So to wrap this up a little, it's very important to choose the right resources at the right stage of your learning journey. Go step by step. Do your homework. Don't confuse good, solid UX writing with cool, quirky UX writing that you personally think sounds nice. Also, be diligent when it comes to context information. Don't just write copy, but always conduct enough research to be sure what you're doing, okay? Conduct research about the brand, the target audience, etc. And this is especially true for these UX writing challenges, okay? And I will definitely dedicate an entire YouTube video to these in the future. But for now, keep in mind, there is no UX writing without knowledge about the brand and the target audience. And if you're not provided with this information, please choose a fictional brand and a fictional target audience. But don't ever write any copy without this kind of information. Also, always keep in mind, UX writing is not just writing, okay? It's researching, it's collaborating, it's documenting, it's communication, it's troubleshooting. And these are also skills that you should work on. But most of all, next to getting all the basics right and so on, allow your curiosity to guide you, okay? We as human beings are naturally curious. It's one of our many superpowers, so allow it to be there and to take you by the hand. And I think those are good words to finish this, okay? So thanks for watching this. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, where I also provide free tips and tricks about writing in tech. And as always, keep on writing, enjoy the process, and I hope to see you sometime soon.